Florida is suddenly recruiting well. What does this say about the Gators and NIL? Get us up to date, Caleb.
Yeah, so Florida shocked the world and landed Colorado Buffalo's transfer, Cormani McClain. He was once a 5-star cornerback in the class of 2023, had committed to Colorado, transferred out. According to CBS and 247 Sports, 247 Sports expert Jacob Rudner reports that he could arrive on campus even as a walk-on because the Gators have all 85 scholarships filled. So if he's going to arrive as a walk-on, that makes it very obvious that this is an NIL pickup, right?
Sure.
This comes a year after Florida, 1 year later after Florida landed top-notch quarterback recruit Jaden Rashada based on NIL, but then had to send him to the curb when it sent him to Arizona State because they didn't have the money to pay what they promised him. Nailing a Colorado transfer like this from Dion with NIL money alone and getting him to come as a walk-on, I'm going to lay 3 options out for you, Dave, and you tell me which one is more likely.
Okay.
Does Florida have its NIL together? Is Cormani McClain desperate because Colorado said that he had that he was a problem teammate and that he had off-field issues and that Deion Sanders called out his work ethic? This was all beforehand. So is this basically he just couldn't go anywhere else because he's from Florida and there's too many red flags about him? Actually, those are really the only 2 options. No, those are the 2 options. Were there too many red flags on him and that's why Colorado let him go anyway? Or does Florida have its NIL act together?
Well, you have to be pretty far down the totem pole for Colorado to turn you away, don't you, as they try to build a program? But I think it's as simple as that. I just haven't heard anything from my Florida sources to indicate that they are getting on better ground NIL-wise by SEC standards. I'm not saying they weren't better than they were yesterday or last month or last year. They're getting better, but how much better, how much more quickly? That's the question that you have, Caleb. And you can't just get a little bit better in the SEC and expect to win big-time battles for transfer guys if you're just going to just slightly get better. They got to make more of an impact to me. This isn't that big of a hit. Dylan points out a lot of schools passed on McClain. That's what I was told too.
Yeah, it sounds like Florida and McClain were both desperate, and that's where this marriage came. Sounds like McClain desperately needed a place to go. Florida desperately needs talent. It gives off I'd love to bring this one up. It gives off Brent Schaefer Ole Miss vibes, Dave.
It does. It does. And remind those that are too young that don't remember what happened there. A former Tennessee ball went to Ole Miss, and suddenly there was a song about him.
Yes. So basically what happened, Brent Schaefer was in competition with Eric Ainge as the starter. Eric Ainge started to separate himself. They both got hurt at the end of the season. Brent Schaefer became a total head case, had so many off-field issues. Fulmer dismissed him from the team. He went to junior college, lit it up. But when he went to come to kind of a Cam Newton type of thing, right? Dismissed from a team, goes to junior college, lights it up, is ready to come back into the SEC. But there wasn't really a bidding war to get him at that time. And I don't mean bidding like NAL. I mean, people weren't lining up to get him because there were so many off-field issues. There were so many red flags that people didn't want him. Ed Orgeron takes the job at Ole Miss, thought he was going to get Lane Kiffin as offensive coordinator, couldn't get him. So Ed Orgeron is scrambling, doesn't know what to do, and he's desperate for somebody to get a spark into the program. So he just immediately is he willingly takes Brent Schaefer, and he names Brent Schaefer the starter before Brent Schaefer could even academically qualify to get into Ole Miss. And that wrecked Orgeron's whole tenure at Ole Miss, quite honestly.
Well, it did. It was a terrible start. It also didn't help that he showed up to one of the first team meetings and he had his shirt off and threatened to fight any of the seniors who thought they could take him. That wasn't a good idea. A lot of bad things you can do early on as it goes.
That's exactly what you want out of your quarterback, right?
He really did do that. He ripped his shirt off. And
was that at Tennessee or Ole Miss?
That was at Ole Miss. You think you take me? Come on.
Oh, Orgeron did that.
Yeah, whoever's ready. Let's go. Yeah, that's a true story. That really happened. I know somebody that was actually in the room when that happened. But getting back to Florida, to me, it's going to take a solid class of transfers, like 6 to 8 guys that you got at a reasonable rate that don't have red flags in their past for me to think that they are a formidable foe on the transfer trail. I just don't see that. I don't see Florida under Billy Napier being competitive. I don't think he gets it. I just don't think he understands the transfer portal. I don't think Florida understands the transfer portal. I think they've got the snobbishness that we thought Alabama might have. They believe you should just come to Florida because there's the state school. Alabama thought you should take a discount. Why? Because you'd be playing in the NFL and you'd be winning championships. I'm not sure why Florida thinks they should get a discount, but it feels like they think they should get a discount. Am I wrong?
No, it does. As a matter of fact, I think Florida thinks that they're a selling point with just being in Florida, but I think there's a problem people miss with that, which is that Gainesville's, if you're picking a place, if you're one of those people that wants to move to Florida for the weather and the sunshine and all that, Gainesville ain't the place. I mean, Gainesville is not on, it's not on the beach, so it's just a miserably hot place. Dave, I think you and I both agree. Is Gainesville not one of the most miserably hot places you've ever been? And I don't mean like beach weather.
Yes. Can't wait to get out of there every time I go. Same thing for Orlando. As far as Disney World, they could shut the thing down and I'd have no problem with it right now.
So if the university was in Tampa, they could sell it better, or in St. Petersburg. But they're trying to sell Gainesville. I'm sorry. Florida's a beautiful state. Gainesville's a really crappy place in a beautiful state.
Elias points this out, and tell me if this isn't wrong. Ferencz shot up 10 spots for 10 wins in a weak division. Heupel drops 6 spots for 9 wins in a tough division, and he beat Ferencz handily. That seems like a hole in the rankings. Is that
true? There's a lot of relativism in those Heupel rankings. You have to remember that I think they think that what you can do at Iowa is very is very limited. I think that's one of the reasons he shot up so high. It's hard to. He's led a consistent program. Maybe Matt Rule will prove me wrong, but in this day and age, with everybody catching up in conditioning and without the steroids, I don't know what those schools in corn country can do. Iowa or Nebraska. I just don't know what they can do. Yeah, but that's the thing. If you don't want to do steroids, how are you going to win? I mean,
who doesn't want to do steroids? Portions of the program brought to you by Boundless Moving. From the 2-hour minimum to turnkey operations, they've got you covered. Boundless Moving in East Tennessee and Boundless Moving in Charlotte. You'll love them. Boundless Moving. Also want to thank our friends at Apex Apparel Group Design. They are incredibly awesome. If you call Tyler right down below at 865-919-3001 for your company, you can get 15% off your first order. We're talking about not just clothes, but design, brand, and market your way. Unique products to promote your business with unparalleled customer service. That is Apex Apparel's Group Design. If I just threw out, again, call Tyler, 865-919-3001. 919-3001. It's down below. Call Tyler. Tell him Off the Hook Sports sent you.